what I want to do is quickly talk about cleaning our model up so we prepare it for modeling, right? If you're an architect and you've linked in a bunch of extra files, if you're an engineer and you've linked in architectural, structural, MEP, consultants, all these different models, it can get very confusing because there's multiple grid lines, multiple elevations, different reference planes, and they're all coming in from different models. So we need to be able to create view templates and change our visibility graphics, override things so that we can actually clean the model and only have the essentials from these other Revit links, and we only have the essentials like grid lines, elevations, and all these things which are necessary from our template, because then we can actually start modeling while seeing the 3D views, but the 3D views of the other architects and structure and consultants don't actually get in the way when we model, right? So we don't have to turn it off and on. We want to use it as an aid rather than make it a headache. So that's what we're going to talk about in this video. We're going to clean up our whole project so we can start preparing for modeling correctly. So the thing which I want to do now is I want to speak about what we're going to do in terms of cleaning the model up, right? So the model is, there's a lot of grid lines here. There's grid lines from structural, there's grid lines from architectural, there's grid lines from, if you go into the east elevation, you have these reference lines, you have different levels, you have in 3D, you just have a bunch of reference lines. So I want to be able to clean everything up so I can start modeling correctly, right? With very low clutter. So the way that I prefer to clean these things up is by just doing it manually, creating a view template, and being able to apply that view template to everything else. So let's look, for example, in the elevation view here. In the elevation view, you have no view template applied here, right? But what we're going to do is we want to remove any reference lines, any grid lines, any elevations, which are part of links, but we want to make sure that they stay in our Revit model. So a lot of people think that the way that we remove these things is by clicking VV on the keyboard and changing the ticks here. So we can go to annotation categories, click G, and then uncheck grids. But you'll see what happens if I do this. If I uncheck grids and click apply, it's just going to get rid of every single grid in the links as well as the actual project. But I don't want the grids removed from the project, my template. I only want them removed from the links. So the way that we do this, let's apply this back, is by going to Revit links, right? And in Revit links, let's make this smaller. Okay, I can't. In Revit links, you have your architecture and you have your structure, right? In your architecture, it says display settings by host view. But what we want to do is we want to modify it so it's custom, right? We want to customize this, and only for this link, for the architecture, I want to get rid of the grid lines. So under annotation categories, I can click custom. That's going to make this editable, and then I can select something, go down to G, click grids. What else do I not want to get rid of? If I click L, I can get rid of levels, right? If I click OK, and then I might do the same thing for the structure. So in structure, I know that we have annotation categories. In structure, you want to make sure we're customizing, right? Annotation categories, go to custom. Again, G, get rid of grids. L, get rid of levels. And I see this green stuff, which is reference lines, right? If you click, let's not get rid of it now. Let me show you how to find out what it is, okay? So let's just get rid of grids and levels for now. Click OK. Click OK again. And as you see, it's much more clutter-free, okay? You have your grid lines, but these grid lines are from my own template. I copied these. We have our reference lines, or our levels rather, and they're from my template. I copied these. I don't want any other to be shown. But you have this green stuff. So if I hover over the green stuff and I on my keyboard select tab, it's going to allow me to actually select it. And as you select it, you can see here it says reference planes. So, and this is actually part of the structure. So if I click VV again, go to Revit links and go to structure, custom, down here, I click R, we can get rid of reference planes, click OK again, and now everything is perfect, right? What I'm going to do is, since I've done this, now I can go to, I forgot where it was, but I can go to view, I can go to view templates, and I'm going to create a template from current view, okay? What this is going to do is it's going to take the information or the changes which I made in this, and it's going to create a template which I can apply to all my elevations, all my floor plans, and everything, right? So create a template from current view, and we're going to name it, we'll just name it test, right? Click OK. And so now we have these ones, all these original templates which Revit gave us, and we have this new one called test. So if you click OK, now if you go to view template and you click test and you click OK, nothing changes because this is the exact same view template which I had initially. And what you can do now is if you go to north, you'll see the same issue is there, but if you go to view template and you click test, now it just cleans everything up automatically. Okay, let's see if we can do the same thing for the level 1 plan. So level 1 plan, if we click view template, we don't actually have a test here, but the reason we don't have test is because over here in your view templates, right? These view templates were made for sections and elevations. So it says view type filter, elevations, sections, detail views, right? And you have one for ceiling plans and you have one for floor plans as well. You can't actually apply one to the other since we've selected view type filter, okay? So if we go back to level 1 and we go here, we can change this from floor structural area plan to elevations, sections, and you can select test now, click OK, and it's going to apply everything, right? So you want to make sure that when you create your view template, you're putting it in the right area. I technically did the wrong thing. I took a view template from the elevation, I modified it, and I'm placing it on the floor plan. So you want to make sure that you understand and you take it from the floor plan, modify it, and place it to the other floor plans. But just for illustration purposes, I just wanted to show you that you can create a view template and you can automate this whole process, right? So you can name it mechanical and you can apply it to all your views if you have the same requirements for your floor plans, your section views, your elevations, right? Doesn't matter. So this was just an overview of how we can clean things up, because when we go to level 2, when we go to level 1, you want to make sure that everything is cleaned up and you want to be able to apply the proper plans over here in order to have a really clean model so you can start modeling without seeing any clutter, right? And the same thing goes for 3D. You can modify this, you can create a view template, and then you can place that view template so you filter out anything which you don't need. Make sure you want to set these up, because when you're linking in models, it can get confusing. It's the bare minimum when you're creating a view template to get rid of like grid lines and reference planes in other models, because we don't need to see them. And then we can just have the 3D models linked in, and we can just have the grid lines and the elevations, which we have in our template because we took them from the architectural model. Once we take them from the architectural model, we can turn them off in the architectural model. We don't actually need them. So these are good practices you have in order to set things up. And we've successfully set up our first MEP engineering project with linked architectural files and linked structural files, right? You can link anything else in, but make sure you follow the steps in order to set this up properly and make sure that we can actually get our location data as well, right?